All right. So, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for being here today. My name is Miss Hallie, and I've been teaching your lovely children for the past 4 weeks. What we have been doing together is first we learned about acting, and then once we had learned about acting and some different techniques that we could use in our play, we had, count them, 2 days. 2 days to come up with a brand new, original, never before seen play that these kiddos wrote themselves, all right? So the way that we started was the students told us what types of things they wanted to see in a play, the things that were interesting them. And the things that were interesting them were medieval times, empathy, war, reconciliation, and magic. Okay, so you will see all of that in our play today. And real quick before we get started, we want the kids to share with you some of the things that they have been learning in this class. So, the very first thing that we learned, since we knew we were doing a play, is we had to learn what acting was. What was the stuff we would be doing? So who can raise their hand and tell me what's the definition of acting? Declan.
Stepping in someone else's shoes.
Stepping in someone else's shoes, and there's a P word for that. What's the P word? Miles? You agree that? It's pretending to be someone else, right? And we have tools that help us pretend to be someone else. You can raise your hand and tell me one, Miss Emma.
Changing the pitch of your voice.
Your voice, that's right. Isaac.
Imagination.
Imagination, fabulous. Faith.
Your body.
Your body, and Miles.
Courage.
Courage. That's right. Good. So those are the tools that we use when we are acting. And then we learned about a couple of special types of acting that we do in our play that you will see today. The first is where we hold imaginary objects. You can raise a hand and tell me, what are the objects called that actors hold on stage? Molly. What are those things called we hold in our hands?
Props.
Props. That's right. And when we act using imaginary props, what do we call that? Pantomime, that is correct. And then the next type of acting that we learned about is where we act without the literary element of drama. Who can raise their hand and tell me, what's the literary element of drama? What's the written part? River.
Script.
A script, right? And when we act without a script, what do we call that? What do we call it? That is absolutely right. So, as we move throughout today's show, I will be narrating and the kids will be improvising and pantomiming for you as they perform our tale. Now, the way that we do this is first the kids pick the type of story they want to have, and then I let each child pick whatever character they want, and then it's their job to make all of them make sense together, okay? So the way that we are going to introduce you to the world of our play today is that the students are going to do something called a name and movement. Usually it's a circle, but today it's a name and movement line. And we are going to not use our names, but our characters' names for you, okay? So we're going to start over here and go this way. All right, so introducing Evil Madness. Here we go.
Escape conflict.
An escaped conflict.
Ruth and I want to be a movie star. Purple Youth Dragon. Warrior Elf. Princess in Distress. Wizard. Samurai. Rose the Caring Orphan. Dog Wolf. Archer. Yes. Soldier. Evil soldier. Dragon King.
Excellent. And now, ladies and gents, places for the top of the show. Get it. Go, 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 go. All right. Speaking. Our story. Oh, hold on. I'm going to start. Here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, our story starts on Broadway. That's right. It was the hottest theater in town, and actresses were warming up, trying out for the role, the hottest role on Broadway in the hit musical Medieval Madness. Every actress in town wanted to play the princess. The producers shook their heads in disgust. None of the actresses were measuring up. But just then, in came Ruth. Now Ruth, she was no spring chicken. Ruth was 60 years old, and she had always wanted a career in the movies. The movies hadn't been working out for her, so she had decided to try out the stage. She marched straight to the center of the audition room. She passed her 8x10 glossy off to the producers, who stared at it in confusion. What was such an old lady doing at a Broadway audition? This was no ingenue. Until Ruth broke into her killer song and dance routine.
I want to be a princess.
Unfortunately, that didn't do it for the producers. They said, boo! Oh, Ruth was so beside herself, she dropped to her knees and she cried. And all the other actresses breathed a sigh of relief. Maybe they'd have a shot, and they marched off to continue warming up. The producers, they made mean faces at Ruth.
Like in 1,000 million years you'll make that.
Yeah, she would never make it.
60 years old.
Ugh.
Ever.
They were very ageist. And just then, Ruth, she cried and she cried. But then she had a realization. She stood up and she said,
Who cares if I'm 60 years old? I can be a princess if I want. I can.
But just as she was giving herself a little pep talk, she saw the strangest looking set piece she'd ever seen in her 60 years.
Huh. What a prop. It's purple and it's swirly and it's sparkly and I can put my hand through it.
And just then, Ruth was sucked into the magic portal. And she fell.
My spine!
She fell right into a parallel dimension known as Pandoria.
Dun, dun, dun!
And just as Ruth was moaning on the forest floor, in came a caring orphan named Rose.
Ooh, it's a good thing I bring a first aid kit.
But she knew she couldn't help this stranger by herself. She called in her friends, Medusa and Myra.
Medusa, Myra, come, quick.
And in came Medusa. Medusa was an evil warrior. But no one's supposed to know that yet. And Myra was an ambiguous archer. And they asked Rose, what's wrong? And Rose explained.
This girl went to a portal.
What's the portal?
It's something that you time travel through.
I
they
still don't
were
understand.
great. Yeah, and they asked if she was still alive.
Yeah, what that voice said in our heads. Is she still alive?
Let me see, I'm gonna poke her. Please don't kill me.
Oh, Ruth was so afraid. But Rose, she had a good feeling about Ruth. She asked her how she got here.
How did you get here? Well, I wanted to be a Broadway movie star, and then I walked through, and I didn't make it. Then I saw a strange, what I thought was a prop, and it sucked me in, and now I have no idea where I am. Do you know where I am?
And they told her.
I'm just kidding. You're in Pandoria.
Yes, and Ruth asked if they knew any way that she could get home.
Do you have a way that I could possibly get home? I have an adult audition in 2 hours.
Myra knew exactly what she should do. She said,
Whatever an audition is, we do know a person that could help you. It's the Dragon King.
Oh, I hate dragons! They're so scary!
Oh, don't worry, they won't bite. Just don't tick them off.
Good. And just as they were talking about dragons, a dragon flew into the forest. And on that dragon, there was the Queen of the Elves. The Queen stepped off of the dragon, and the dragon immediately saw her new best friend, Ruth. She ran up, she wagged her dragging tail, she sniffed Ruth's crotch.
Alexis! Here, girl! Alexis! Scary!
And Myra told Ruth to chill out.
Chill out!
She explained that the sweet mute dragon would never hurt her.
Yeah, what that voice said.
And the Queen of the Elves asked who this stranger was.
Who are you? You don't seem to come around from here.
And Ruth explained how she had gotten there.
Well, I really don't want to say the voice again. But, okay, fine. I wanted to be a Broadway movie star, and I was sucked through a portal, and now I'm in this Pandora place.
Pandoria.
Oh, Pandoria. And I really want to get home. And they said something about a dragon king, but I mean really.
As soon as she heard the word portal, the Queen of the Elves knew whose fault this was.
Oh, it's the wizard. He left his portal open again.
And she suggested where they should go.
I think you should go to the Dragon King. He should probably be able to help you find your way home.
I thought that first.
And after they fought over who thought that first, they all agreed they should go, and they ran off. Meanwhile, the wizard stared deeply into his crystal ball. He saw something very distressful in there, and just as he was being worried, in came the Dragon King, back from his patrol of the kingdom, and he said to the wizard,
I don't want to, make you scream your head off or anything, but the princess has been captured.
They both knew at the same time.
I do know. Because I was looking at my crystal ball. I saw it. Yeah, that happens every single time. Especially last time when that one John guy came through the portal. That was messed up.
The king was so frustrated because the evil folks stole the princess every single week. He was so sick of it, he said,
It's ridiculous. They steal the princess, then we go after it. They steal the princess, we go after it. They steal the princess, we go after it. They steal the princess, we destroy their castle and go after it. They rebuild their castle, take the princess, then...
the monotony of Pandoria. They were so sick of it. And just as they were complaining to one another, in came the gang along with Ruth. They came in, and the Dragon King saw something that actually surprised him. He asked,
Who's this newcomer?
Ruth was scared of the dragon, but Myra pushed her to the front.
Well, you see, Your Highness. This lady, Ruth, fell through this magic portal, which I believe is the wizard's responsibility.
The wizard knew at once he had left the portal open. He said,
Portal, come on. Why do I have to leave that open every time?
Oh, wait. If you opened it, then why didn't you close it?
and the wizard said,
That's no problem, because I don't know how to close the portal because I accidentally flushed the instructions down the toilet.
Unicorn turds!
oh. And Ruth asked, how would she ever get home?
How would I ever get home?
And the king, he had an idea.
So maybe we can go and get the go over to the evil lord's castle, I guess, and get the instructions back.
Oh, I forgot to say, right, wizard, tell them. What happened to the other set of instructions?
And we have another set of instructions. And those instructions, I might have accidentally said that the crate failed to the bad guy.
Double unicorn turds.
Oh.
Yeah, great. It's not ours now.
Yes, and so then the king said,
Oh, this happens every single time. Triple unicorn turns. Okay, triple unicorn turns. Okay, so let's go over to the evil lord's castle, get the instructions. Thank you. And save the princess.
and everyone said, hooray!
Hooray!
And they all ran off to execute their plan.
Let's not mess this up.
Except for Rose. Someone was missing.
Where is Medusa?
But then she shrugged her shoulders. She had work to do.
Come on. Let's not mess this up.
Meanwhile, at the evil castle that sounded like this.
Get out! Get out! Evil!
The poor princess in distress was all tied up. She cried and cried. And the evildoers laughed a maniacal evil laugh. Yes, the samurai thought it was hilarious to torture the poor princess. And just then, the convict thanked his best friend, the samurai. He said,
Thank you for busting me out of jail. No one else would have went through all that trouble.
the samurai said,
You're welcome. But forget it.
and the evil lord told them to be quiet.
Everyone silence!
He knew they had to get down to business.
We need to get some water.
He wanted something from the princess.
Alright, we all know what to do. Bring down the business. Look at her. Make sure Barty tells us where the wizard is pretty much hiding at.
Because he had,
He had the one thing for the weapon. I need that in the old
but the princess, she was unimpressed. She said,
Whatever. Like, the Dragon King is gonna save me anyway.
she was so sick of this happening. She said,
Like, you do this every week.
she knew she was going to get away, but the convict leaned down and got in their face, and he said,
Be quiet, I'm gonna take your mouth shut.
but just then, in came the Dragon King. And he said,
Dog.
and the Dark Lord said,
Dragon King.
and the Dragon King said, I'm going to get you this time. And the Dark Lord said, and the greatest battle in the history of Pandoria began. In rushed our heroes, and they each took on one of their horrible foes. Freeze! And in the middle of the mayhem, in came Ruth. She said,
Ever met an old woman who can do karate?
and she went to do her coolest karate move, and she cracked her head and passed out. And the battle continued until the wizard held up his wand, and he said, and the bad guys froze into ice cubes. All of the good guys rushed around the princess and undid her bindings and took the tape off of her mouth. And they asked her,
Are you okay?
and she said,
Yeah, I'm fine. They do this every week.
but just
I
then,
know, right?
it is. But just then, they all realized that poor Ruth was passed out. They tried to wake her up. And she was so tickled that she sat up. And she said,
What happened?
and Myra explained.
We won! We're gonna have some bad guy smoothies today!
And the wizard said,
You hit your head.
I used my freezing spell and froze them.
great. And he was able to get the instructions for the portal.
And
So
look,
the
I got
dragon.
the instructions back.
Finally!
Good. Do not lose these.
Okay.
Yes.
In the cabinet.
Yes.
No, I will take these to the wall.
I don't want to say quadruple unicorn turds.
Great. That's a mouthful. So they all set off to send Ruth on her way.
I can get up on my own, you know.
Okay, geez.
Well, you said your spine hurt when you came
I
in.
thought you said you couldn't get on.
I mean, make up your mind already. You get hurt or you're not.
You said your spine hurt when you came in.
And they took off. But just as they left, the Dark Lord was able to utter a few words. And they all sprung back to life. He knew the spell that could release them, and he said to his evil crew,
That's what.
Apparently this spell, the wizard. Now, we will get them next week.
and the warrior who was evil, but nobody knew it, she let them know about the portal and what they could do next week. She said,
A crazy girl named Ruth that you saw who was doing that karate, she got through into the portal and out, and then she landed on the fourth floor.
and she knew what they could do with that magic portal. She said,
We can get that portal or go inside. We can spread evil in all dimensions.
it was going to be a good week for evil. They laughed a maniacal laugh. And freaks to be continued. All right, come on out, take a bow. Well, folks, thank you so much for letting me play with your kiddos for the past few weeks. We had a lot of fun, and clearly they have very active imaginations. So thank you so much, and we hope to see you again soon.
Oh, and I just want to say a thank you to Hallie. You did such a fabulous